This is the Conscious Economics Podcast. Your co-hosts are two women who found themselves in careers on Bay Street, but decided that there was something missing. So here we are. I'm Rhiannon Roseland. I'm your co-host and the CEO of the Economic Club of Canada. I'm also the co-founder of Conscious Economics.
Hi, I'm Aseel, the CEO of Conscious Economics and a financial therapist.
Now, we call ourselves economic healers, and that is a term that I'm sure nobody has heard before, but we really believe that if we want to heal our systems and create a more equitable society, it starts with actually healing our relationship with money and the economy.
When you join us on this podcast, you'll be exposed to courageous conversations that help us examine, heal, and redefine the relationship we have with money. Join us on this journey as we co-create the new economy together.
Hello, and welcome to the Conscious Economics Podcast. You are back with your hosts. I'm Rhiannon.
And I'm Aseel, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see we're both in green blazers, and that's because we're here to talk to you about mindfulness and money.
And what is that, Aseel? What is mindfulness and money?
Well, it's a very sacred program to Conscious Economics, and we're very excited to share it with you, but not so much just about the program, but really the thought behind it, because there's a lot of thought and heart-centered approach in everything that we do.
Yes.
So the reason I really particularly love mindfulness and money is because it's what led me to you.
Yes, it was. It absolutely was. So let's give our audience a little bit of the background to where mindfulness and money originates from, and then how we've been able to come together and make it that much better.
Yes.
So as many of you know, both Aseel and I have had careers that have led us to this particular moment of coming together. But for me, one of the things that I've been doing for the last decade is a lot of work around financial literacy for young people. So through my not-for-profit arm of my organization, at the time the Junior Economic Club of Canada, we were really working with a vast number of young people all around this idea of financial literacy. And I have to say that when I first got out there, especially because for me, I had so much sort of shame and like just twisted messaging around money, I really thought that normalizing the conversation with money with young people by teaching them about these, definitions and mechanical tools around money was absolutely where it was at. It was, something I didn't have, and I thought that this would be so valuable and important. But what I kept continuing to realize is no matter how fun we tried to make it, no matter how many times we tried to sort of switch it up, I really saw like just a disconnect in so many people's faces, eyes, and hearts. And as we continued down the road, I really realized that there was something so much deeper that was going on, and that the financial literacy piece was really secondary to the first piece of the teaching, which really needed to be around cultivating our own understanding and awareness around our emotions, around cultivating these mindfulness practices so we could understand why we were showing up dealing with money the way that we were dealing with. And now this is pre-Aseel. I sort of concocted this idea of we would create a new program called Mindfulness and Money. And when we launched the pilot of the program, that was when I wrote an article in the Globe and Mail outing myself for my own financial trauma, for the financial trauma of my family, and just really saying that I think this is a really big, not only just national issue, but global issue that we need to start speaking about. And it was that led me to Aseel, reading that article, and then us coming together. And
so to give you my side of the story, I was a financial planner on Bay Street, and I kept really feeling that I'm missing tools in the toolbox of how I'm helping my clients with their different and various extensions of issues with money. And I kept feeling that a lot of the issues I was dealing with are very much psychological and emotional, and the tools I was trained on were more from the logical standpoint about creating different financial plans, creating different strategies and investment vehicles to help us with our financial goals. But no one was really addressing in that line of work, at least, addressing the emotions and the behaviors and the subconscious layers to why we deal with money the way we do. And I went back to school to become a psychotherapist, decided to leave the corporate world, become a financial therapist, and started my company at the time which I called holistic optimal wealth, because I felt that wealth has to be started to be approached holistically and not just focused on wealth building from, increasing your financial resources, but like that approach to life and expanding our understanding of currencies. And the interesting thing is, I was thinking very much about what would my tagline be. And the tagline I came about at the time was live mindfully, live intentionally, live abundantly. And the mindful piece was the first foundation to that, because it's really about becoming more aware and conscious with your own patterns that I felt is the foundation to even before you become abundant or even understand and heal your relationship with wealth that follows. So when I started my group coaching, I was doing group coaching at the time, and few of my clients came across the Globe and Mail article, forwarded it to me, and then here we are. We became business partners from that point onward, because we realized that we have a very specific goal that's very unique and very different than what's been really circulating in the financial literacy circles, because everybody recognizes that financial literacy is a problem. There's a very low engagement when it comes to people's relationship with money in Canada, especially in millennials and the future generation as well. And these things need to start changing. And it's not just about pumping more material. It's changing the conversation altogether that helps us approach it from a different lens that people are now ready to want to listen and engage.
Absolutely. It's so interesting because for me, I grew up obviously with a lot of financial trauma in my household and, struggling with money. And there was just so many layers to that struggle. And so I remember being in particular spaces, even spaces that I had created, and I would always feel like I had to give the baton over to the banker or like the financial expert to do the lesson. And I never really realized that my own lived experience was guiding me so much into this space, but I didn't trust it. So I only trusted the expert who, when you picture the typical money expert, you probably have a certain vision in your mind of who that is. And so that's who came to teach at some of the programs. And there was just such a disconnect. And I remember thinking, and especially when we started working with different communities of young people that grew up more similarly to me, and then someone would come in and start talking about like investing and like bonds and debt. And I was like, ooh, like it just hurt my heart. Like it was like, not yet. Like we're not even ready to receive that information yet. And there is science and research to say that for those of us that have experienced financial trauma, so if you've been in a situation where you've struggled in, on the poverty line, or you've seen someone lose a job or lose a house, or, you've been through some of those very significant things like I have gone through myself, there is a cognitive decline in your brain's ability to function and process when you put people in even simulated money events that have been through that without addressing that. So for us, mindfulness and money is, it's really kind of at the core, the bedrock of the conscious economics movement, because it really is the core staple program that we're saying, hey, there's another way that we can talk about business. There's another way we can talk about the economy and money. And it doesn't have to all be, this just old framework that no longer really serves us in the way and in the direction that I think we're going. This podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, RBC InvestEase. Backed by expert human advisors, RBC InvestEase is a smart, online, automated investment service that allows you to invest with low effort and low cost.
Open your first RBC InvestEase account and pay no management fees for your first year. Plus, start investing with as little as $100. Simply visit rbcinvestease.com/getinvesting and sign up using promo code AA407. So there's really something important I want to insert here, and that's the definition of a financial trauma to begin with, because often the word trauma is associated with really big life incidences that are usually actually far and far spread apart. So it's not just about you being on the poverty line or experiencing something really, really drastic. It could be as simple as being the daughter or the son of workaholics who really valued their work and were on that workaholic hamster wheel, if you will, and they didn't give you the attention you need. So even though you grew up in a lot of privilege and abundance, you may have resentful feelings towards that because of the fact that, it didn't give you the emotional needs that as any child would have at that point. It could be as simple as seeing your parents fight over money. It could be as simple as seeing lots of crimes or lots of violence around this particular topic. So it's not so much about where you fit on the scale of poverty to like extreme wealth and anything in between. It's all these different layers and layers and layers, because money is usually one of the most stressful topics in our lives, really. I would argue that every single one of us have forms of different financial traumas really infused and intertwined in our identities. And because we don't really understand them, that we can't fully bring awareness to how they show up in our life today. So I just wanted to really insert that, because sometimes people tune out when they hear the word financial trauma. They think, oh, nothing really drastic happened in my life and that's not relevant to me. But if you think about what role money played in your life growing up, chances are it was probably a stressful topic.
Well, and the thing that we always come back to too is that the money stress and the money issues do not discriminate, actually, whether we have, the wealthiest, millionaires, or we have people who are, just trying to make ends meet. There's usually something with money that people are struggling with or trying to figure out, or they may not even realize that. So in talking a little bit about the program, let's kind of get into what were some of the things that we did in order to make this program different. So one of the first things that comes to mind, and I kind of mentioned it, and I'm trying so hard not to stereotype anyone, but there is this standard sort of approach of who's the person who's going to help you with your money. And it typically is like an older male, that's just what you would generally expect. And so we really, really blow that out with Mindfulness and Money. Our incredible facilitators and teachers are experts from across this country that are all so unique and fresh and bringing such a different approach. Just of all walks, bringing such a different approach to this topic, to the way that they teach it, to the way that they feel into it, really embedded in the consciousness and mindfulness piece. So some of our like each module that you go through will have a special activity and then a mindfulness activity attached as well. And so you actually get to put some of this theory to the test. You get to start cultivating your own mindful money practice, which is really cool and can actually transform anyone. So it is for all ages, because it's designed in a way that whether you're someone who has everything together but just wants to kind of maybe go a little bit deeper in terms of how well you want to be with your relationship to money, there's something for you. Or if you've never explored any of these topics before, or you're just a young person getting started, there's something in it for you. So it's really interesting in that way.
I really like that you said that, because it's not about how old you are, it's more so how new this topic of money is in your life, as far as how engaged you are with it. Like I remember when I was a financial planner, there were clients in their 50s that were just starting to ask questions about money because they didn't think they were either recently widowed, or they recently had a major shift in their life where now they needed to become more financially informed. And these transformations usually happen at different stages in your life. So it's really irrelevant as how old you are and how rich you are and all these different pieces. It's more about the relationship you have with money. And the other parts that makes this program really special, aside from the reflection prompts that help you go into this inward introspection and really help you reflect on these pieces for your own life. What's happening behind the scene, and something I really, really appreciated, Ree, is that you were bringing us in this beautiful meditation circle prior to the production of each module, because we really sat together and cultivated mindfulness with ourselves, with the team we were working with, but also keeping the audience and the participants in mind. And that really brought the energy and alleviated the work to the next level, because we were very, very attentive to when people share their time with us, it is their biggest asset they're sharing. So we take that very seriously, and we're very attentive to the impact that we're going to be creating. So
well, and then the other thing that I'll say is, I think typically, and I know this was very true for me, when I would hear, okay, we're going to do something around money, it's like, well, there's so many more important things in the world. I want to be, someone who's caring about, civil liberties and human rights and all of these things. So it feels like money is the source of the problem. And what we are really trying to cultivate here at Conscious Economics is understanding that when we change our relationship to money and to the economy, we start to actually create the systemic change that we crave. Because really, when we think about it, at the core of all of the different aspects of our society and the way that our world operates, the money is actually at the center of that right now. So like, why do children go to school? To get educated so they can go and have a job so they can make money. Like, why do we get up each morning at a certain time and go? Like, it's all revolved around what is the glue that's holding our systems together right now, which is this idea of earning a currency and making that contribution and living that way. And so if we want to, really truly have a paradigm shift where we can create a new, more conscious economy and world that cares about the well-being of people, that cares about the well-being of planet, that honors creativity and art as a functional pillar of the economy, then it starts with resetting our mind, not just around the basic parameters of how we use money, but also about how these kinds of things show up for us, and understanding what those blocks or limiting beliefs are. And even if you feel a hesitation right away, like, I don't want to do a mindfulness and money program because I'm not interested in putting my attention towards money, reframe that money is actually just an extension of our societal values. And if we've placed those in the wrong area right now, or they're not showing up or measuring up to what we want, how do we cultivate that change? So this program can really lead us into going deeper. And that's our goal. In the end of the day, we want to see system change. We want to see equity, and we want to see social justice and economic inclusion and economic reconciliation.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because it's almost a lot of perception out there. So mindfulness is almost the antidote of money. So I wonder how many people, what they would feel when they see these two words together. So I invite you to reflect on, what was your first gut reaction when you saw these words together? And I wonder if, to some people, they may perceive that they're finding some resistance towards it, because that means maybe the rejection of wealth because of the word mindfulness. Like, oh, I wonder if mindfulness and money means I'm not going to be wealthy or, aspire to accumulate money, because now I'm really rooted into mindfulness practices. And these are also myths that we try to debunk, because it's just limiting. And in nature, being spiritual doesn't mean living in scarcity, and it doesn't mean, if you are to be somebody who cares about mindfulness practices in your life, that you would be somebody who then rejects wealth. These formulas and attributed meanings that we've projected on all these items are man-made, and we get a chance to explore them and understand the roots of them and challenge them. And the most important part after we do all that is to start creating new ones that serve us, that are liberating, that are exhilarating, that are creative in nature, so we can live by associations of things that serve our growth and not hinder it. So
absolutely. I think that's such a good point to make, because I know that more and more, as we see people trying to step into a path of I don't want to say enlightenment, but people wanting to learn and discover how to live in a more aligned way, a lot of the time they do think that that includes this very pious, I'm not interested in any, accumulation of material things. And I think that that is just so not the answer at all. I think that we are, material beings on the material plane. We're here to have this very tangible experience, and money and all of these different items are a part of that, but it's about what's, rooted underneath that I think cultivates the true measure of the experience. And we can have an aligned, beautiful, connected experience with money if we cultivate that and if we call that in. And that's what we really want. And we want abundance for everyone. We want people to feel like they have value and that they understand their value and their worth. And so all of this to say, we've put a lot of heart and intention behind this program. We're so excited to be launching it nationally across the country. Very grateful to our partners and community partners and all of the people that have contributed to making it be. And it's not just what you see here in front of you. There's such an incredible crew behind the scenes, behind the camera, that's helping cultivate all of this. So it really is something that we are bringing out into the world to really
co-creation.
Yes.
Something we believe in is part of the pillar of the new economy anyway, co-creating things with people we are aligned with. So if you really feel aligned with this approach to starting seeing money from a different angle, these modules are going to be available on September 13th, but they are digital and they live on our website. So you're able to register anytime after September 13th. But the beautiful, early bird prize, if you will, if you register between September 13th to September 28th and you finish the modules by then you get access to our digital summit, which is happening on September 29th. And that gives you access to all the facilitators. And it's just a really cool event. I'm not going to spoil it and tell you what to expect, but it's a really cool digital experience that we are curating for those early bird participants. However, if you don't make it in that window, these modules are still available, and we'll have all the information in our show notes so that you can register, have access to the 8 modules that we've prepared and the worksheets as well.
Yes, and we can't wait to see you there. We can't wait to hear your feedback. It absolutely is from our hearts to yours, and we just can't wait to radically shift the way we think about these things, shift our values, and start to come into that more aligned conscious space. And that's what conscious economics is really all about. So thank you to everyone. We hope to see you at Mindfulness and Money, and please reach out at consciouseconomics.ca if you have any questions at all about this program or the many others that we're offering.
Have fun and see you later.
This podcast is brought to you by CPP Investments. At CPP Investments, they never lose sight of the long term. They invest the Canadian Pension Plan Fund to help provide financial security for generations of Canadians.
They diversify the CPP fund across geographies and asset classes to access the best investment opportunities and generate sustainable long-term returns. The fund is now more than $400 billion.
To learn more about their investment performance for Canadians, visit cppinvestments.com.